Our story begins with a guy named Chong Si-ho. He is 33 years old and now he is calmly driving around the city in a taxi. He constantly tried to find a balance between work and personal life, but as a rule, he always refused to go to the bar and have drinks with his friends. He also could not count on a happy relationship with a young girl because his work took up too much of his time. But sacrificing his personal life, he was always at the top of his career ladder and all his employees envied him. At one point, the life of the main character completely collapses because he was too arrogant. The reality that he imagined turned out to be too harsh, and our boy could not even count on a happy marriage or anything similar from the ordinary joys of life. Those shares in which the guy invested suddenly fell sharply in price, and he cursed that dog who claimed that they would soon skyrocket, apparently by Elon. He won't become a mask. After that, he tried in every possible way to improve his position at work and get a promotion, but this was just another nail in the coffin because the main character was simply fired. But still, he was offered a position in an organization in a small town, but this was clearly not what he wanted. He ended up being demoted and given the role of assistant manager, which was just terrible compared to what he had before. According to the correspondence, someone was worried about the main character, but he was asked to be as calm as possible because this is the most common thing when something changes dramatically in life. It was his girlfriend who asked the boy to be careful in the new city and write to her every day how he was doing. If he had any difficulties, he would have to call her immediately. It was clear from the expression on Chan's face that he was scared, but simple conversations about problems are not able to solve them, so the main character simply replies that everything will be fine. Now he faces the difficult task of starting his life from scratch and regaining his position in the company, no matter the cost. Although the prospects in this organization were not very good, the boy still did not lose hope of climbing the career ladder. The manager told the main character to go into the office building and wait for her at the elevator. Ahead, he notices a lady in an office suit and thinks that this is his boss. She looked clearly tired. Just like me when I play Dota 2 for several nights in a row, the girl's name is Hwang Ji-ai, and she runs the third sales department. Our boy decides to treat her with respect and bows, and says that he was sent to work in the third department, so he expects that they will get along with her. In response, the girl said that she was also looking forward to their work together, but judging by her appearance, she did not show any emotions like a real dead inside. Chong Si-ho, just looking at the girl, realized what kind of hellish working conditions he was facing. From her face, it is clear that she has a complete lack of enthusiasm. Judging by her name card, it was strange that the heads of the company promoted her to such a level. Did they really hire the main character to clean up her work? Judging by Chan's face, he clearly didn't like this turn of events, but there was nowhere to go. After which the manager offered to go up to the office and discuss the details of his work. While going up the elevator, they rode in complete silence, and the main character understands that from the moment they met, the guys did not even look into each other's eyes. Chan simply couldn't wrap his head around how such a pessimistic person like her could be a manager of the sales department. How they were going to trade if they couldn't even look each other in the eyes. The guy decides to talk to her to get to know the girl better. Maybe she communicates differently with her clients. Chan asks if the girl had breakfast in the morning. The guy decides to talk to her to get to know the girl better. Maybe she communicates differently with her clients. Chan asks if she had breakfast, whether the girl is in the morning. But in response, the lady doesn't even turn around and simply says that she had a quick snack before heading to work. Despite the fact that Hwang Ji-ai still remains the uncommunicative main character, he tries to continue the conversation, saying that the girl most likely prefers not to eat much in the morning. If there is some restaurant nearby, they could have lunch together. She turns out to be too closed in on herself and does not even fully answer his question, saying that perhaps there will be a restaurant somewhere. The guy is trying to somehow rectify the situation. Their break is quite short, so it would be inconvenient to eat somewhere far from the office. At the end, the main character asks maybe she has some questions for him, but the lady says that she has no questions and they have just arrived on the 12th floor. As soon as the elevator doors opened, she simply walked out of the elevator, and our boy could not believe that the lady had avoided answering for so long. While they walked to the office, our main character was still thinking about how someone like her managed to become the head of the department. He still tries to solve this incredible mystery, thinking that most likely the girl was promoted only because of her beautiful appearance. Then it makes some sense. After they arrived at the office, the girl asked everyone for a minute to introduce the main character. He was redirected to the third sales department, and therefore she asks for a warm welcome. The lady turns and asks Chan to say his words to the employees, because now he will be the deputy of this department. The main character says his name and explains to everyone that he was redirected to this department as a deputy, so he expects excellent cooperation with everyone. But in response, these office planktons simply clapped their palms without saying a word. It looked as if he had a whole department of zombies who had no emotions. Here, our main character is already thinking, because these people clapped their palms too unsurely, apparently that the entire department was like their leader. Finally, the main character begins to understand what is happening in this office, because all the team members climbed the career ladder without any achievements. Even the manager was without any motivation for advancement. Even the workers they hired were as if they were not alive. They didn't even smell of team spirit, so the boy understands that it will be difficult for him to work with them. Since he is still new to this department, he needs to look around carefully to understand the state of affairs. Maybe in some moments he will have to work harder to cover up the management. Since there is not much work here, the main character thinks that it will not be so difficult for him. After which the actions are postponed after 1 month, and the two girls turn to the deputy manager. The girl found it difficult to complete the task, and so she decided to ask him for a favor to do the work for her. The lady with pink hair asked him to do the tasks for her too, but for some strange reason, he agreed to do it. Line had gathered behind him. The boy decided to ask if they were really going to shift all the responsibility onto him. After the main character agreed to complete their tasks, the girl said that the boy was really the best deputy they had. While everyone in the office was busy with their personal affairs, our boy looked at them with hatred, saying that these damned slackers were doing nothing again. These idiots constantly put off their work, and because of this, their performance drops. Several times the main character agreed to take on their part of the work, but now he simply did almost all the work for the entire sales department. And the manager just sat and watched this chaos without even intending to scold her employees for such behavior. Our boy found himself in a simply terrible situation, because now he is not the head of the department and cannot give orders. But out of old habit, he still tries to control everything around him. But Chan understood perfectly well that this could not last long, and soon he would have to take measures to bring this department into working order. If this continues, but the main character continues to perform the minor duties of his subordinates, and then he can forever forget about his career growth, he urgently needs to talk with the head of the department. Approaching her, the boy said that they needed to talk seriously and asked her for 5 minutes of time, but she said that she was too busy with work so she couldn't be distracted. He still tried to talk to her because it was a very urgent problem, but the lady just got up and left, saying that she had an incredibly important meeting, and they would talk later. Meanwhile, while our guy was working, employees continued to approach him to ask for help, but his face showed how tired he was of all this. Chan couldn't believe that there were too many of these idiots. He urgently needed to come up with a plan to quickly escape from them, or the situation would get even worse. Suddenly, he notices that the head of the department has finally returned, and he vowed that he would definitely talk to her because he had been helping his employees for too long. Our main character kept following her along the corridor, begging her to listen to him at least once, but all his requests were in vain because the girl did not even deign to turn around. At one point, our boy's nerves simply cannot stand it, and he simply grabs her hand and begins, "Why the hell has this lady not been paying attention to him all day?" As if he doesn't exist. Although she was scared, she still didn't say a word, and Chan continued to shout that they urgently needed to discuss the problem that was going on in their office. It seems that the lady misunderstood him and started saying that she only has a daughter, but what the hell is going on? The main character still realized that the lady misunderstood him and began to make excuses, saying that he just wanted to discuss the situation that was happening in the sales department, but she only apologized, saying that she didn't like him and asked for forgiveness for refusing him a relationship in public. All the employees around began to whisper, not fully understanding what was happening. They thought that the main character had just been refused an offer to meet. Chan found himself in a difficult situation, because now the whole office thought that he was in love with his boss. Suddenly, the boy realizes that after he changed jobs, his life became very strange. It was as if he ended up in a hospital for the mentally ill, where he was surrounded only by crazy people. While everyone around thought that something was happening between them, the main character still continued to hold the girl's hand. All the same, the boy decides to find an excuse by saying that in fact he just wanted to talk about work, and there were no feelings hidden behind his words. The lady looked as if she never slept at all, but for Chan it was still unclear what was going on here. Even the manager spoke as if she had a developmental delay. The guys from the department also began to discuss what was happening between the head of the department and our guy, despite the fact that the main character had only recently gotten a job and everyone was already talking about him. Suddenly, the girl's face changes dramatically, as if someone had died, but Chan cannot understand the reason for such a sudden change in mood. She has become so gloomy. She just lowers her head because she was ashamed that she misunderstood him, but if I hadn't slept either, my brain wouldn't have worked either, so I can understand her. But our main character also begins to worry, because it was he who started such a sudden conversation. He needed to apologize for causing so many problems to the poor girl. The lady with black hair understands that she has been away from her workplace for too long, so she asks the boy for forgiveness, but she urgently needs to return to her workplace. Chun has no choice but to watch her leave, but he never managed to discuss the current problem with her. The main character simply clutches his head because his plan did not work. If everything was as before, he could personally manage the department and would not be so emotional. She even thinks that she is taking on too much, after which the actions are transferred back to the office. Looking at the leader, Chan realizes that the situation has only gotten worse. The girl looked too gloomy and it was difficult for him to find the right words to get help from her. The main character understood perfectly well that if the head of the department had done her job properly, then all the other employees would not have shifted their work to him. He thought that only in this way could he achieve a promotion and go to work in the main office, but at the moment this goal seemed impossible to him. He also remembered the strange reaction of the employees towards the head. It was clearly not the reaction that you expect from employees to their superiors. At first, the main character thought that the girl was being humiliated at work, but he immediately discarded these thoughts because they are not such terrible people. But still there were some disadvantages. He thought that the girl was too passive, but at the same time did her job well, which is why the entire department transferred the work to her. In fact, it was difficult to ignore a person who is good at his job. Even so, all the employees decided to benefit for themselves and shirked work. But now the boy could not do anything about it. He had been working here for a whole month but had not achieved much results. He needed more information in order to better understand the situation. Chan thought that he would do everything possible to improve the situation in the office, and if he managed to earn respect in the office, he would simply run away from here to a cooler department. Suddenly the boy heard a strange sound, as if someone had reloaded a gun, but it turned out to be a lady with pink hair who was taking another selfie at work. The main character thought that she was constantly shirking work by filming various vlogs or doing selfies, a girl named Beck Kieran, who also manages to browse online stores. This lady has simply excellent social skills. She easily finds an approach to every person, so she should know a lot about this department. The main character sat and thought that it would be a great idea to find out all the information from her, but while he was thinking, the girl had already managed to approach him from behind and scare him. Chan couldn't understand what she needed, but it turns out that she once again wanted to ask him for help because she can't make a report, while she puts on the face of a real angel. Of course, the main character is already tired of having their responsibilities shifted to him, but there is nowhere to go and he simply helps her. But Beck Kieran sees perfectly well that the boy is sitting with a very dissatisfied face and thinks that something is bothering the main character. Chan says that he's fine, he's just a little tired, but why did the girl with pink hair start to worry about him so suddenly? She tells him that she heard from one of the employees that the head and deputy of the department were arguing about something in the corridor, and judging by the rumors, it was a terrible love quarrel. Face becomes terribly pale and he tries to cover himself with his hands, but the girl is afraid that something is wrong with Chan. The main character simply hits his leg with his fist out of anger, realizing that these damn rumors have already spread throughout the department. He just tells her that after hearing what he heard, he became very worried, but in fact, he had already come up with a plan to solve this. The boy realizes that it's almost time for lunch and invites the girl to go have coffee, and she enthusiastically asks if she can really order whatever she wants. Realizing that now he will have to say goodbye to his money, the main character makes a very confused face and confirms her words. Next, the actions are transferred to the cafe where Beck Kieran finally ordered a drink that she had been wanting to try for a long time, thanks to the deputy for being so generous. But the main character says that this is only a small payment for the fact that the lady will help him deal with his problem. It turns out that she was very excited when Jong asked her for a favor, but he immediately says that his question concerns the head of the department. The girl seems to have no conscience at all, so she asks the main character to order a cake for her, of course. He cannot refuse her request because he needs information. While he was eating the cake, the boy had already told her the situation and she just started laughing at him. It turns out that the main character wanted to talk to the head of the department about work, but she misunderstood him, and now everyone thinks that he is in love with her. But still, Beck Kieran thinks that this may not be an ordinary misunderstanding. What if the girl is really in love with the main character and is simply hiding it? But Chan immediately tells her that if it weren't true, he wouldn't be asking her now. It was all a misunderstanding, which is why the main character is asking her for help now, and what benefit can be obtained from a quarrel with the head. In a whisper, the boy tried to understand the situation and thought who else could have the same social skills as her. But the girl heard this and said thank you that the main character considers her sociable. This was the first time the deputy praised her, but she thought that she was just a terrible employee, and the main character was completely uninterested in her. At work, the guy talked to her all the time only about work issues, and it seemed like he was simply ignoring her or hating her. The main character tried to explain to her that in fact, he simply does not know how to communicate with people for fear of saying something ridiculous. But we all know that in fact, he was simply infuriated that the girl was constantly shifting her work onto him. Now that everything became clear to Kieran, she wants to help the main character establish relations with the head of the department and make sure this misunderstanding disappears. She says that she understood everything absolutely correctly. The guy only recently started working in the department and still didn't understand a lot about the head, so he couldn't understand how to establish a relationship with her. It was quite difficult to explain, but a girl with pink hair tells him that the employees secretly laugh at the head of the department. Usually during lunch breaks, the heads of all departments eat at the same table, then the girl is always alone, and if she runs into employees in the corridor, they immediately begin to discuss her. At first, everyone tried to talk to her, but she turned out to be too closed in herself, so no one dared. And also, Hiren decides to tell one little secret that is known to few in the department, so the main character is privy to this secret. Manager Huang received many declarations of love from employees, but no one managed to get her heart. To be more precise, there were more than 10 of them. There were many employees who believed that she was alone, so the main character should know about it. The boy exhales with dissatisfaction, because now it has become clear why the head of the department, Huang, misunderstood him, which is why such a strange rumor spread throughout the department. In such cases, the main character thanks her for the information and wants to leave, saying that he has a lot of work. But the lady was only interested in the tasks that he would do for her. Of course, that he would complete everything. On the way back, the boy begins to think about the fact that the head of the department, Huang Ji, is hated by other managers. With a character like hers, it is probably even more difficult to cope with such difficulties. And considering that the main character was demoted and sent to their department, as well as constant persecution, it is not surprising that the girl misunderstood him. In such cases, Chan puts on the face of a real Sigma, saying that he will definitely find a way to talk to the head of the department. He will make every employee of this damn department work like cute little ones. But there is one thing. The girl with pink hair approached him again and said that the main character deceived her in the cafe by saying that he didn't like the head of the department, because in fact, he was in love with her. Of course, our boy is frightened by such a harsh statement and thinks that this rumor is still circulating among the workers. The lady continued her monologue, laughing at the main character, because before confessing his feelings to her, he could have asked his work colleagues for advice because they have known the head much longer. Suddenly, the guy simply can't stand it and shouts at the girl that she doesn't dare say such things to the deputy of the department, especially after listening to his explanations. But only the rumors differ from what the main character told her in the cafe. It was already clear that Chan was tired of the situation, and he could not find an excuse as to who was spreading these damn rumors. While the conversation continued in the background, the rest of the employees thought that their deputy had simply gone crazy and was shouting at the entire department. The main character was trying to work calmly when he suddenly heard that other employees were discussing his failed confession. He was exactly the same as all the other losers who were in love with the head of the department. The guys in the background thought that he shouldn't have confessed his feelings at all. They thought that the main character came to them from the main department and therefore decided that he was cooler than everyone else. Chan decided to get up from his workplace to deal with these idiots, but suddenly there were even more rumors than before, and he began to realize that he was completely losing control of the situation, and he didn't like it. From the very beginning, he understood perfectly well that rumors would spread quickly due to the fact that the company was small, but now he did not understand at all what to do. Maybe there was a person who was dealing with these rumors. The main character understood perfectly well that after talking with Hiren, the situation will only get worse. He should have initially asked her about the source who was spreading these rumors, but this also would not have been able to solve the problem. Chan is already angry because he was so busy helping others that he completely forgot about himself, and now he just had a huge problem. He got involved in all this only after a conversation with the head of the department, but how can these freaks be so ungrateful and spread rumors after he helped them so much with their work? Suddenly his nerves give out, and hitting the table, he begins to tell all the employees that they are following the example of another department, and the Kirin therefore constantly shirk their work. The guy says that he was just going to talk to the head of the department about their terrible work, but she misunderstood him because she is a terribly withdrawn person and refuses a simple conversation. Didn't the other employees notice this? Only because the situation began to get out of his control, the main character took her hand. But because of this, now the entire department thinks that he is in love with her. The entire sales department were real idiots because they didn't even understand the situation and just spread rumors about falling in love because they are morons. Even if the others don't know this, the employees shouldn't have treated their deputy this way because he constantly helped them with their work. Suddenly, one of the workers, realizing that the situation was terribly tense, decides to tell the main character to calm down a little because they can discuss everything. Despite the fact that Chan had a very crazy look, he says that he doesn't need to calm down because now he is calmer than ever before. He continued his monologue by saying that every employee in this department is incompetent and terribly irresponsible. There is a complete mess going on here. These employees are not able to cope with even the simplest work and constantly shift their affairs to the main character. If you count how many times Chan corrected their work, they simply don't have enough fingers because they practically do nothing. Despite the fact that he is a manager from the main office, even for him it was terribly difficult to cope with such work because everyone must do their part of the work. The main character actually calmed down a little because he realized that the head just needed to work normally in order for the rest of the department to also function. The manager's inability to communicate with her subordinates leads to her simply avoiding them, in which case the department's performance suffers. Also, this girl had a daughter. In any case, this lady was completely unable to cope with her job. And yet the rumors managed to spread throughout the department, and they were as ridiculous as possible. While the main character was trying to tell everyone that he didn't like the head of the department at all, the girl had just returned from the meeting and told about the terrible unrest going on in the department. At this moment, Chan understands perfectly well that he made a mistake, because now all responsibility for the department will not fall entirely on his shoulders. The main character again tries to find an excuse, because most likely the leader misunderstood the situation that just happened. Chan tries to explain that he did not discuss the head of the department behind his back, but simply wanted to discuss the situation that happened in their office. It has become impossible to ignore these rumors, but she just says that everything is fine, because there is no point in spoiling their working relationship because of a simple misunderstanding. She talked with other heads of departments. She only confirms the words of the main character that she is no longer able to lead the department because she cannot make them work. Such a position requires a person with a very strong spirit, which she does not have. The girl perfectly understood the essence of the problem, but it was too difficult for her to fix it. In addition, she was a very old woman with a child. The head of the department did not want the main character to somehow spoil his reputation because of this situation, because in the future, he will need to take care of his promotion. The main character simply remained silently standing aside and didn't even say a word, and the girl with black hair returned to her workplace as if this was the way it should be. While the boy was trying to get over the shock, one of the employees approached him and asked Mr. Chan to apologize for his behavior. He was wrong. Afterwards, everyone returned to their jobs and the actions were transferred when the main character had already left work, but it was clear from his face that he was unhappy. The boy remembers how he talked to a girl in a cafe, saying that their leader was not doing his job and that the leader repeated his words. She still told her about the conversation that was incorrect. The main character clearly understood that he needed to work hard in order to move up the career ladder, but he could not understand why he still continued to make mistakes. If this continues in this spirit, then soon he will not be able to improve the quality of his work and will simply leave the company. Suddenly, a girl with pink hair catches up with him and asks him to forgive her for what she did today. She didn't want the main character to have so many problems because of her bad joke. But Chan asks her not to apologize because what's done is done. She won't be able to change it, so let her leave everything as it is. The main character just wants to turn around and leave, but the girl notices that he looks just terrible and it bothers her. As an apology, the lady asks the main character to go with her to the best and most expensive restaurant she knows, of course, that she will pay the bill herself. Suddenly, the head of the department appears and thanks his employees for doing a good job this week. In response, they tell her the same thing. The main character understands that he specifically wanted to leave the office earlier, so as not to interfere with the leader. But everything happened exactly the opposite. The boy was also about to leave, so Beck says Hiron that they are saying goodbye, but the girl has something to say. The main character asks that her important message wait until next week. Suddenly, Chan notices that the head of the department was met by some girl and hugged her, but he was in complete shock. While they were standing near the traffic light, the main character thinks that over the course of a week, he had the opportunity to talk to the girl many times, but each time he could not do it. He can't even understand why he began to be interested in the leader's personal problems. The guy tries to look at his phone to distract himself. If the manager had practiced a little in the skills of giving orders to other people, she could completely correct the situation. But it seems that this will never happen because the guy cannot find the right words. Meanwhile, that blonde talked to her and discussed various issues, and the main character was shocked that she had that person with whom she could calmly communicate and not run away from the topic of conversation. One might say even more, for the first time since we met, the guy was able to see how the girl smiles, although before he thought that she was dead inside, which doesn't feel any emotion at all. Our boy thinks that this is a girl from another department whom he has never heard of, but suddenly the blonde notices his badge on his jacket and pays attention. Chan decides to just look at his phone so as not to attract too much attention to himself, and this is where our video comes to an end. Thanks for watching. Like it so that the next part comes out faster.